Welcome. The Town of Columbia Financial Planning and Allocation Special Meeting and Budget Workshop. Rules of conduct for this hybrid virtual meeting. This is a web-based call which is operated under the following procedure. This session is being both video and audio recorded. Commissioners and staff will generally remain on mute except when speaking or voting, and it will generally be kept keeping video of themselves on throughout the meeting. If a member of the public creates an audio or video disruption, they may be manually ejected from the meeting upon recommendation of staff or the chair. For public input before the meeting, please email your comments to publicinput@columbia.org within 24 hours before the meeting. So we'll call it to order.
Yeah, so we have not gotten any public.
Okay. Sure, please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, approval of the minutes. Give everybody a few minutes to read. Okay, any comments on the meeting? Minutes? Need a motion?
Just that from 1 minute,
Second,
minute.
Judy second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Abstentions? Hearing none. Passes unanimous. Okay, on to the budget workshop number 5. Mark, we'll ask you, we presented you with a $75,000 reduction to your proposed budget. How'd it go?
We looked at operating, but that was too detrimental to the operation of the town, so we focused on the capital side of our budget. And we decided to close out the Hennequin Drain project. We had $47,857 in that fund. We're moving that into this budget to take off from the cost of our dump truck. So we'll reduce that by $47,857. We also are closing out the Latham Hill Bridge capital fund. We are holding that $15,000 for evaluation of Latham Hill, but we're not ready to really go forward on that bridge yet. So we'll put that in a future budget. And the balance to get to $75,000 was $12,143. We're going to remove that from the tree removal budget for next year. We had requested $75,000, so we'll do 75 less than 12. We're challenged with tree removal with all this rain, so I think we'll be okay with less than 75 at this moment.
Okay.
So that comes to 75 or something.
Any questions?
At the Latham Hill budget, what was the amount that you?
15,000.
15,000? And that was just in the reserve, so that when you're ready to do a study.
It was reserved to do an analysis of the bridge, but 15,000 won't be enough to do that analysis, so
Anyway,
when we're ready to really do that bridge, we'll have to do the full amount.
and do you have an idea when that might be? Is it a-
I just checked the quality of the bridge and it's still at fair. So I have to coordinate that with Lebanon because we share that bridge. So it really should be a combined project between both towns and we're not there yet.
In light of recent history, we probably don't wanna ignore bridge issues.
Correct.
Okay, do we need to make a motion to accept it, or are we okay with where that is?
I'll move to accept it.
All right, I need a second. Judy, all in favor of continuing on with the $75,000 and accepting what was presented? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you very much for your report and due diligence. Board of Education. Let's see, we asked you for $450,000. How do you do?
Met on Monday night. And discussed at length, and went through every line item in the proposed budget. In order to get $450,000 in reductions, that would be at least 5 positions. To even get a fraction of it, we're talking positions, we had presented a budget where we had taken out extra field trips, all increases in furniture, musical instruments. There's no other line item that we can reduce. The Board of Ed would like to stand and propose again that you accept our proposed budget of the 5.1 increase.
Questions?
And I figured out the special education budget, I understand, is less than it might be what we're doing. We're not doing it. But, can you say the number of personnel associated with it? Because when you look in the budget, it doesn't seem to line up.
You said that special education budget decreases, not.
No, I'm not even talking about people. I'm trying to understand, between the administrators and the teachers, it's, $1 million of expenditure, according to your, numbers, and of course, there's 5 teachers there, so.
Special education teachers. There is a director of student services oversees both special education for ages 3 through 22. There is 1.5 speech pathologist. There's occupational therapist, physical, point person 3 days per week. Physical therapist 2 days per week. BCBA 3 days per week. We have all the paraprofessionals fall under special education. RBT fall under special education. And wow.
And, about how many students we have right now that have IEP?
We're below the state right now, but we have probably, including high school, about 110, I'm guessing.
High school students are not in that number.
Pardon me?
Those students are not in that number, they're in our.
So in school, I don't quote me, I have to count, but I'm gonna guess about 80. In the pre-K through 8. Some of those numbers though do include services to the high school, for instance, the BCBA is used at the high school level. Speech pathologists will go to the high school when they have to, they go to sometimes magnet schools to save us money on evaluations for the magnet school charge us for evaluations, we can send our folks in free other than
So, can I-
psychologist, I forgot she's on the work.
and so because we're doing this in house as compared to some of the kids out, I'm assuming you calculated the. And what that's it. Now, I'm thinking about the
the benefit right now is to say, you don't have a. You don't have any benefit because I'm assuming we don't get the reimbursement from the state or out, that we would for outplacement. So we only get a fraction of what we would pay for an outplacement. An outplacement right now for student cost anywhere, if it's, student that goes to a day placement, it's usually including transportation, it costs about $125,000.
And from the state, we get that.
It's payable, they have to meet a certain threshold, they have to get up to $82,000, and then that threshold, that will be it.
Okay, and do we get reimbursed for the special ed that's done at the school?
Depends if we meet the threshold. But we do, when we receive IDEA funds, the grant funds, so we get some reimbursement for that. We report on the number, services,
So if it's 125 and we get back 82 at a minimum,
we don't get 82, but we have to hit 82 first that we absorb. We have to pay the 82 that we absorb. Then from that marker of 82 into the so if it's 100,000, then we would get 18,000 portion of the. It's not, you're not getting a lot of money back on that placement, because it's lying now.
get more reimbursement in-house.
There's not a lot of reimbursement anywhere, but it's more cost effective if you're only looking at cost effectiveness to keep students in-house. Benefit for the student as well as for the financial on that. First and foremost, we would look at student benefit and keeping them in-house is most beneficial.
Hey, Judith, satisfied?
That, well, one more question. And compared to the other towns that are, our special ed costs are.
In the ballpark. We have a lot of very, great services that are special ed, that we're more fortunate than other towns, that we can keep students in-house for. For instance, one of our special education teachers is a highly certified specialist in dyslexia. Many of our other districts are sending students out for services for dyslexia. We do not have to do that. So I'm very proud of our services, and I'm very happy that we offer. We're always looking for grants that we can fund. We're always looking to for professional development that can also benefit the students, again, keeping them in.
James, question?
I have a question, and maybe it's more clarity and refreshing my memory too. Because I remember some years back when I was on board, and I was in here. And one of the things we looked at was the possibility of if we had to cut positions. And as I recall, it wasn't ideal because of the actual size numbers already, but you'll know better real time. But as I recall though, to let someone go, it's not even dollar for dollar savings because of unemployment and how it affects our, like the FICA rate we pay and whatnot, right? So to get a certain dollar amount saving, I mean, you said maybe 5, but in reality, we'd only be saving the salary of say 3, right? You have to let go to get to the savings you need, right?
Would need to be increased. The max of the correct me is about 730 per week we would pay.
30, 40 max, it all depends on the salary, what's there.
But you do have to offset that with the savings. If the position were to be cut, we have to factor in that.
And that's what I recall, like if you wanted to save 100,000 salary, you're not, you let someone go and you're saving whatever it was, half that or something like that. And then I remember just in that point, it was something that we didn't really want to do. Because we would be cutting more positions to get to the dollars we want. And I can't remember what happened, it never came to that, but I knew there was another factor in that is if we even considered it, it's hard for us to get the dollar amount we want, right?
Stephen?
Yeah, on your presentation, I thought you had stated that the high school population was dropping.
Yeah.
There is a increase from the prior year to this year of 11 students at E.O. Smith, which is a 6.1% increase. You know, with what is $15,000 students per year, that's 150,000, 165,000 more. Is that right, that we're going from 133 to 144?
I don't have those numbers in front of me, but there is a decrease in students, yet an increase in the tuition.
No, this is an 11-person increase from last year to this year in budget.
The overall number of students is. From last year, it might have gone up, if you're looking at a 3-year. So the tuition costs have increased.
Yeah, I got that. You had stated that we were on a decline on the number of high school students. And there's an 11-person increase, which is 6%, which is that's a pretty good increase.
And sometimes it's hard to be for EOs, like for instance, the student side to go to Wyndham Tech. They're out of our district. We don't pay anything for them. So when we're coming up with the budget, we're basing it on what we know. We put in kind of a, an average figure of who might go to Wyndham Tech or a private high school, so that we figure out the cost, the number of students who will be going to one of our.
So you could have a situation where you have a large senior class of the tech kids. So they graduate out next year, overall, the high school number of students increases. But the amount of them going to Wyndham Tech is lower. So you have that weird paradox of less kids, but more kids. Something unusual.
Right, or conversely, we could have all of a sudden have, we had planned on an average of 7 kids going to Wyndham Tech, but 12 go. And that's. I don't know, they have. There's no definitive time yet.
And you said too, isn't there like limits by town, like what Wyndham accepts?
Yeah.
Like we'll never have a situation where all 40 kids get to Wyndham Tech.
No one ever, not that many apply.
Well, even if they did, that many would never get accepted by Wyndham.
How's that, Stephen?
I mean, I could ask
Go ahead.
a lot of questions.
Right.
On average, we spend 7.5% more than we state per student. Interesting.
Or where,
Per student cost, I believe is, we got it down here somewhere like 135 is the state cost per student per year, and our cost is about 26.7 per student per year, which puts us at, I believe, about 7.7% above the state average.
I will get back to you on that question because I don't know that where our per pupil, you're talking about the per pupil rate.
Yeah, I did a lot of work through the ELA and all this stuff I didn't really understand, learned a lot about it.
I kind of the per pupil rate that it changes every year.
Yeah, in the latest one they reported, I believe, maybe a year and a half old.
So I can-
And it falls into 2023, so, yeah, but that's the info flow. Based on these increases, it's only gonna go up.
So I
How do our students rate? I read something about. Okay, well, I guess we gave you the floor. Rating, was it, the K through 3 and then the older group? 52%, I believe, are above average. Or at the 52% mark in the reading proficiency, but only 26% of the budget. Yeah, but only 26% have achieved their desired level at the math and science.
So obviously that is something that the Board of Ed is working to improve, always working to improve test scores, without keeping to the test. So that was, part of the curriculum, we just adopted an ELA curriculum that addresses not only reading and writing, it dives deeply into science as part of the content.
Like I say, we seem to be doing okay in the reading and writing, but not so good in the other areas. That's
Okay. Can I just ask you, Arthur? Questions?
No questions.
Yes.
Process.
Very good. I really don't have any questions. I'm very surprised you came back to us and didn't have anything at all. So, I think we need to, I'd like to hold you to what we asked you to cut and send you back to do that. Okay, because, looking at the taxpayers for the town of Columbia, you're asking, it's a huge ask from where we've been over the years. And they're gonna be getting huge asks in the coming future. And I think a 2 mil increase, it is gonna be excessive. So it's not my job to make the motion. I can make a motion. And I'll make a motion to send you back with the $450,000 cut we requested. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion now. Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Richard, I talked with Richard today. He called. He would be voting with James. Motion carries.
I have a question related to this group staff, I think it's been for free. And I'm sorry that I haven't retained this better, but the end of the year, fund, which I believe is for tuition, the funding that is every year allocated to cover tuition costs or anything. And then the end of the year is always, has always been unspent. And we originally had an agreement that money would roll back into the budget, but it's we have checked with the Board of Ed, town attorney, and that the town cannot hold the Board of Ed to giving back any extra. But it's done, exactly, on an agreement. We talked to both attorneys, Mark checked with the Board of Ed, Mark and I checked with the town attorney, and we can't hold them to it.
But we understand that.
Right.
We're not saying it's a legally binding agreement. We're saying it's a matter of trust.
So at the end of the year, when I go through the transfer, that's the last line I take funds from, so that's why you always see a difference in that line. Because that's the line everybody looks at, it's kind of an expectation, so if last year there was 50,000 return, it's left in the tuition line. So, but then, people have to understand that throughout the year, if you have changes in placements, so outplacements go up, they go down. High school services go up, they go down. People move in and out of town between Bolton and E.O. Smith. Some kids transfer to the VOAG and come back up to the high school. They've also, it's go between the high school. So what we budget is basically based on what we know is best estimate at the town budget. So we take into account kids going to William Tech. We try to get pretty close to the rest of the number, and we hear more kids are going or less kids are coming. But we always try to have a little buffer in there because of that. But, unfortunately, the last year or two with all the changes, particularly in special ed, we've had kids move in and out, which is an exception with the new legislation, that kids who had aged out are allowed to come back. So that has impacted this year. Barb and I still need to check on the numbers, how it's going to impact last year, the rest of this year and next year. So, unfortunately, anytime we do the budget, Barb and I sit down, we do look at the current numbers. They look at how many are graduating, and then how many 8th graders are going, and estimate the Kansas high school. The two high schools, Bolton and Wyndham, are pretty close now in person rate. Yeah, sorry. They're, so it's like, there's no saving, between maybe a couple $100. So, again, it all has to do with the population, and, you know, last year, I think, over the summer, we had and even during the school year in high school as well, where we thought the population was going, all of a sudden, we have something moving to town. So. The next should be between quarter and high school, so unfortunately, we thought Christian has gone down and those coverage. So same thing with the question. So we got his age out. Right, Barb, 2 of them came back? Yeah.
And then
Oh, and there were
2 weeks.
so it's always, you know, we look at the magnet, and see what we can do. But again, we take a guess at magnet, and I think pretty much that's been close there, but again, somebody has some families and then they read it and they take the money. So it's very hard to predict that line, but I know it's definitely reviewed. They check with the guidance counselor, you know.
I'm not sure if this is a mark or better, but the mill rate changed from 13.52 to 13.02. On this newest version, has to do with the board of, board of selectmen's change in that rate. Okay, also, we did this, I brought this up last year, I'll bring it up again. We collect at 99, 99, 98.8, 98.8, 99.25. And then some tax sales stuff caused it to 1 year ago was 98.3. If we ever considered trying to raise it to, 98.5, which each half I think represents about 87,000, not a huge amount, but it's a few pennies that,
78%,
right,
because we were definitely 98, again, it all depends on the delinquency. How much you collect on the delinquency. You do have a new tax collector.
That's what I was about to say. I think that's the reason why I think that's the reason I would be hesitant to do anything until we know.
The tax collector is very trying to go into has a very high collection rate, just like the one that just retired. So the amount of pressure they put on themselves was kind of like, all right, we'll go to 98, to ask them to try to push it a little harder, especially with this day and age with the economy, it's you can if you want to, I mean,
it's, I'm grabbing at everything right now. To be honest with you.
Steve, I think we build that into the back of our minds that the undesignated fund will actually get a little bit more than we're projecting. So
right.
that's how I was back into it as a soft number that there's probably a little bit more there.
Well, then
Maybe
there's
an extra 500,000.
150.
does help them, if somebody has changed their mind and doesn't give us a certain amount of money, or say all of a sudden the building fees drop off, or, other revenue, the interest paying, that collection rate has helped the town cover if they need to, and other things, other revenue doesn't come up.
We're pressing the board of it, and we should press the tax collector too.
Then we know what to do.
Eventually.
She's a rock star, isn't she?
Okay, gonna bring us back home here. Next meeting is gonna be the 17th of this month, Wednesday.
Regular.
We need to vote on the. bill increase. Yeah,
Cancel it if we don't have anything to vote on.
no, not yet.
No,
Oh, there, no, it's-
Finance. The deal with regular finance. So we'll do
We're
that.
not gonna talk about
On a
the.
regular meeting.
We have a regular meeting to.
Oh, you know, I have a confusion. Hearing, we postpone five after then, but if you want to keep it as a regular meeting, then we'll just set the action.
I'd like to vote to send the budget to the town meeting
Then we can vote to send the budget to the town meeting on the 24th and not have.
and have
Wouldn't be
the
a
five
town
back
meeting,
meeting.
Vote to
public hearing.
To the public hearing on the 24th.
And you could adjourn after the public hearing to a special.
Okay,
like that.
then that's what we'll do.
And then skip the regular.
Just
And skip the regular meeting on the 17th.
I'd like to do that. And
Yeah.
Do you have to vote?
You're
on-
sending up, back to Board of Ed. You just told them that they need to come back.
Right,
No,
we changed that.
No, we just changed the budget. I don't think we said that
So
to
you
back.
just change the budget without them
We
coming
gave them
back.
a chance.
We did, yeah, we did, it need to come back. We just made the move.
So I think we vote, we need to have a vote on the budget to send to the public hearing, right?
Right, so we'd have to have a budget we could publish
Postcard out.
and get the postcard out of what the numbers are, and then you'd have the right to adopt that budget based on what you hear at the public hearing.
Right.
Yes.
But
And
this,
then,
but we have to vote on a proposal.
right, and then you would determine the budget you would send to the town meeting.
Oh,
That's what I was trying to figure out.
Cuts, so you should have a motion saying you're gonna send it, the budget with the cuts to be presented at the public hearing.
With the mill thing,
Well, without reference to the mill, but with the reduction of 450,000.
Yeah.
From this number that you
Yeah.
just gave us. Yeah. So
somebody make the motion.
I move that we send the budget to the public hearing on April 24th as presented tonight with a reduction of 450,000 from the Board of Education budget.
And the 75,000 from the.
I think that's already in here.
It is correct in those numbers. You're saying in addition to the numbers that.
As presented here, an additional 450.
That was the, kind of in the Jeff's motion,
Yes,
that accept that, plus take out, and now you're saying send the budget with the confirming the 450 to the public hearing.
correct.
Right? And if you know 4/17 meeting, which was on calendar.
And the public hearing will be on the 24th, so we can.
Yeah.
Publish that with the town meeting. The Board of Selectmen would set the town meeting. Based upon the public hearing.
all right,
Which would be sometime in our.
Right. So once you get through the public hearing,
Potentially more information by the end of April.
right, so if you move a dollar amount to the Board of Selectmen to set the town meeting, we would know if you would achieve that at the 24th. And we
Okay,
could set a town meeting.
and between now and then, can you get us the information on exactly where that leaves us with the number?
Can I ask for a clarification on that now? Because I'm new to to not just approving it, sending with other numbers. That still leaves them with a slight increase from the prior year.
Yeah.
So there would be no violation of what the MBR.
Correct.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
Correct.
I just didn't want to do
And
something
after-
that would have a backup.
After the public hearing,
We can adjust it.
we can adjust it further if-
Right.
and we can decide on how much will come out of the undesignated fund at that point versus how much we increase the mill rate.
Correct. So it's, we still have a motion.
I have a motion on the floor.
I need
Is there
a-
a second?
I'll side.
All in favor? Aye, all opposed? James? Abstentions? Motion passes.
Yeah, so you won't be set to make clear, you will not be setting the mill rate at the public hearing. that way.
Correct.
After.
Wait.
Still, even to the town meeting to present the budget based on what came out of the public hearing, the town vote, once the town vote. Yes, and voted and approved, then you'll get the town,
Right.
And what would be the measure that would require it to go up? outside of town meeting.
Oh,
No, there's a vote in the town meeting, but they have to go to referendum.
So I think the petition first reading.
But petition be required to go to referendum, but if the town meeting were to fail, we have to schedule another town meeting
If
prior to
the
that,
town meeting doesn't approve the budget, there'd be another town meeting
until you get a budget
and,
weekly.
and not a vote.
There will be a
Not
vote every time.
Every time it'll be a
only
vote.
It's a town meeting every time.
Right, what we don't know, because we haven't had this happen in Columbia, I have to figure out how to do that weekly.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to publish it,
You need 3 days lead time from the news.
that's the problem.
Yeah, you have to get it, that, the next morning, you're getting the go ahead, put it in the paper.
They don't go vote. They don't. Every year. They never.
Have to go on the thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah.
What?
Because you have to have a legal notice. You know, they-
Unless you say
Like,
legal
what
notice every week.
qualifies as a legal notice? That's what I'm trying to ask, like, does it have to be, what qualifies as a legal notice?
You know what I'm doing? You're not gonna let anyone speak
No,
on the Board of Ed.
this is a budget workshop. It's all
You
done.
will comments very often, so you choose
We
this
have a
time.
meeting,
not.
and it wasn't here, it wasn't, sorry. Not tonight.
That's incredibly insane.
Well, whatever,
Budget workshops generally don't have fun.
correct.
I know frequently there has been public comment, so I wouldn't say that. I love that you choose today to do that, when there's a lot to say.
We didn't have any public comment last week, but anyway, I'm not gonna continue. We set the dates, need a motion to adjourn.
And Jim, are you all set with the motion? You good?
Judith. Motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at 7:39.